So to get started on this poncho, we're going to need 2 balls of our main color of Color Made Easy by Lion Brand, and for me I'm using Caviar, which is their black shade. You're going to need a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook or whatever gets you to gauge. I'm using the Hook Nook crochet hook, which I have been really enjoying, and then some scissors. We do not need a darning needle, actually, no we don't, which is really exciting. I did that on purpose because if you've watched some of my other patterns, you know I hate sewing. So let's go ahead and get started. So I wanted to explain kind of the construction of this poncho because something that's really great about it is if you know how to make a granny square and so that means double crocheting, chain spacing, and then also single crocheting to attach the shoulder seams, then you can make this poncho, which is something I really love. It's nice and simple. But the way it is constructed is there are 2 sides. The first one, as you can see here, I've finished. It's a little hard to get all on camera because it's rather large, but each side is made up of 8 granny squares. And as you go, you connect them, or at the very end, which I'm going to show you that approach, and I will show you how to do that. So I've completed the first side. There are 3 different granny square motifs that I use. This is one right here, and then this is the other, which I call A, B, and C in the pattern. And I explain in the pattern how the colors work. It's really simple. Basically, you just need 3 different colors and a main color. In fact, let me grab my notebook to help make some sense of it. Okay, not sure if this is gonna help. This will be in the pattern, but for the video's sake, if you don't want to work with a pattern, I did a really messy, kind of quick drawing out of how the pattern works. Essentially, you get 4 colors, and oops, I already messed this up. Okay, so essentially, you have your granny square, and I can actually pull one off the ground. And you're going to have 3 different granny square motifs based off the colors you choose. So let's just say, for example, this is A, this is B, this is C, and then this is A again. So here you can see each granny square starts with a different color from A through C. And then D is the main color. So this black that you'll see, which is the main color of the poncho. So that's the blue that you see. And so depending on what colors you pick, you're gonna have granny square 1, granny square 2, granny square 3. Say that 3 times fast. And then for 1 and 2, you're going to have 6 total. I wrote 3 at first because that's one side, but you need 2 sides obviously. So you'll have 6 of 2, and 4 of 3, since there is a gap for the neck at the top, which is 16 total granny squares. And each granny square, when it's finished, is about 8 inches, and this will all be in the pattern as well. And so whenever you've completed them, you can come over here and see how the granny squares fit together. So this is one side. So yeah, and then this kind of explains how each granny square is constructed. I don't know if that helped. I hope that helped. But we're gonna go ahead and get into the mechanics of the pattern, so let's go. Okay, so I'm at the point in the pattern where I have made 8 granny squares needed to construct my second side. This isn't a tutorial really on how to make a granny square. There are a ton on YouTube, thankfully, but I have already gone ahead and made all 8 granny squares. And I have already worked the black trim around 1. So that's, once you've made your 8, the first thing you want to do, or the next step, is to work the black rim or black trim around 1 of them. And then you're going to want to pick up your main color again and start working on an adjacent square. So if you flip back to the sketchbook, we see all my ideas. Okay, so that's 1. I did the 1 right in the middle. So we're gonna wanna do 3, which is, for me, a pink one. Okay, so this is going to sit right here. So I am going to place a slip knot on my hook, insert it into the corner where I've begun each round, work a single crochet, and then chain 2. And just for the record, this is how you're gonna start every single row. So now I'm going to begin the corner and work 2 more double crochets. Chain 1 and work 3 double crochets to complete a granny square cluster. Essentially, what we're doing here is we are going to work normally until the 3rd side. And then on the 3rd side of this granny square, we are going to connect the 2 granny squares. And there are so many different ways that you can join granny squares together. This is personally my favorite, and I find that it works the best whenever the colors are the same all on the last round of each granny square. But it's my favorite, as you know, because I very much dislike hand sewing. So I'm gonna go ahead and work until the 3rd side. Okay, so now I'm on the 3rd side. And so what I'm gonna wanna do is, to complete this corner, we need to chain 2 and place 3 more double crochets here. So we're gonna chain 1, and then instead of chaining a second, we are going to place the granny squares wrong sides together, insert the hook into the corner of the other granny square, and complete a single crochet. And what that just did is that connected the granny square on the gap. So that's basically how these are all joined. You place instead of a chain stitch, you place a single crochet in each space. So now I'm going to work 3 more double crochets just like I would. Okay, now instead of chaining 1, we're going to go into the next space, single crochet, and work 3 more double crochets. And that's basically all it is. And I'll show you how I complete the corner, because I don't really think it matters too much, but I am kind of picky, so I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so now I'm at the corner. And so I'm gonna place 3 double crochets. Okay, and so whenever we started this side, we chained 1 and then joined, but since we're along this already, we're going to insert into the corner, single crochet, and then chain 1. And the reason why I'm particular about that is I think it just makes sense, because you don't want to join on the chain 1 here, because then you're stretching this side to match here, and then same thing over there. Again, it probably is not a big deal at all, but whatever you find easiest will work. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and complete the side. And with this knowledge, you basically have everything you need to know in order to join the rest of the squares. I do want to show you though how you join 3 at a time because that can get a little bit tricky, so I will show you that. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump off camera after I finish this round and basically complete this side, but I do want to show you how you join 3 together because, as I said, it can get a bit much to manage. But basically the key thing to remember is you only want to do a full border before joining around 1. It doesn't matter which one as long as you keep the pattern straight and you're able to place the squares in the right spot. Okay. I'm chaining 1, and then I'm completing the round, and that's kind of loose. Completing the round by placing 3 more double crochets. Chaining 2, and then slip stitching into the 3rd chain of the first chain 3. Going to complete another chain and then cut a tail, and there you have it. We have just joined 2 of the granny squares. If you'd prefer to complete them all the way around and then either single crochet or sew them together, that's perfectly fine too, but that's how I did it. So I'll meet you back here in a bit and I'll show you how to join 3 at a time. Good luck. Okay, this may be hard to show on camera, but I'm going to attempt to show you how to connect along 2 edges. It's really not that much more difficult, but it might be tricky for you if this is your first time trying it. So, like we started the other one, we're going to place a slip knot on our crochet hook, and we're going to work one side as we normally would. Okay, and so I'm going to work the first half of the corner like I normally would. And then, just like on when you're joining 1, I'm just going to go ahead, chain 1, and then get my piece ready to work. So, the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you're joining to the appropriate edge. So since I'm working this way, I want to join here and then here. I wouldn't want to join here and then I've already joined here, and so it wouldn't work. So like we did before, starting with the first side, I'm going to put the wrong sides together and work a single crochet into the corner. And now I'm just going to work 3 double crochets into each space on the main granny square. Insert my hook into the hole on the other one, make a single crochet, and then keep working. So I'd say the biggest thing that's different from here, obviously you're joining 1 more than you would, but I think it's the corner. And so to keep the corner where all 3 come together clean, there's just and you know I'm being particular, but there's a way that I think is most appropriate to join. So I'm working this. I'm almost at the corner. Chaining 1 and placing 3 more double crochets into here. Okay, and so instead of, or I guess not instead of, but so here there's 2 holes that we're gonna do 2 chains in, or 2 single crochets into. We're not chaining any. So the first single crochet will go into the corner of this granny square. So I'm going to work a single crochet into this granny square. I am then going to turn my work. We can forget that we even joined this side, and then I'm going to place a single crochet into this granny square corner. So again, wrong side going through, and then work a single crochet. And so that just keeps the corner nice and clean. It's kind of hard to see with the black, but I do think it's the best way to keep it looking clean, keep it secure. And so now I'm just going to do the same techniques along this second granny square. Okay, gonna work a single crochet into the corner, chain one, and then you are home free. So I'm gonna go ahead and just finish this off camera. I'm going to attach my last two granny squares, and then I will meet you back here to sew the to single crochet the two sides together. Okay, so I have two completed sides, and basically, of course, I have some loose ends. Aside from the loose ends, there's only two more steps, and it's to join this shoulder and this shoulder. And this should not take long at all, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. And the method that I'm using is single crocheting the two sides together. Now to do this, you're gonna wanna put a slip knot on your hook, find the corner, and I'm actually gonna trim this because it's gonna get in the way. Because the corner is two chains, we only want to go in the chain closest to the side as to not join the neckline. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first chain on this side, and then the corresponding chain on the other side. And I should have mentioned too, we are facing right sides together for this part. So you want a wrong side against the table and a wrong side facing you. Then, with your hook between both sides, you're just going to want to work, if it'll let me, work a single crochet. And if you've watched any of my other tutorials, you know that you don't want to do this too tight. You want it to join the sides, but not by any means cinch it. So I'm now just working in to each stitch on both sides. And even though this is a pretty short side, I am crocheting slower than I normally would. And that's just to ensure that I'm going under both strands of the stitch on both sides, and that I'm not missing any stitches or going into a stitch twice. And so I'm just going to go ahead and keep joining them. Okay, this is taking me a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish off camera. Basically, you just wanna put one single crochet through each corresponding side, and as you can see, it joins the two sides together. And then when you get to the end, just make a chain stitch and cut a tail. So basically you have everything you need to create this poncho. And I'm really excited to see what colors everyone decides to use. And yeah, good luck, happy making, and please subscribe.